8月24号，联合国未来峰会预对话会投资可持续的未来在深圳举办。对话会围绕能源转型、气候、融资等5个主题进行，聚焦中国在可持续发展方面取得的进展，并就加强国际合作、加快全球实现可持续发展目标进行探讨。联合国驻华协调员常启德在接受广东广播电视台专访时表示，此次会议不仅为9月份的未来峰会奠定基础，而且展示了中国推动多边主义解决全球问题的信心和愿望。
Purpose of the Summit of the Future is let's resurrect, let's rewire. So it's great that we've got together in this beautiful city of Shenzhen, and today it has become the technological capital of the world. So we have a stake to come together, to collaborate, to cooperate, to advance the sustainable development goals, overcome the current challenges that we face.
作为联合国发展系统驻华协调员，常启德从2021年至今，每年都会来到粤港澳大湾区参加会议和考察活动。每一次到访，大湾区的发展面貌都带给他不同的惊喜。
You know, I've spent 25 years in the UN. I've lived and worked in 13 countries, and I've probably visited around 100 countries already. I have to say, this experience of Macau, Hong Kong, Guangdong, and Shenzhen has been the most fascinating. If I look at the future of the next 15-20 years, there are going to be 5 critical areas. Those are artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, fintech, biotech. If I look at these areas, in all these areas, the greater Bay Areas of the 4 regions that I mentioned are making meteoric progress. So not only is it turning into a financial hub, but it's turned into a technological hub, it's turned into an innovation hub. So in all senses, and it's got a very youthful profile of people. So in many ways, the greater Bay Area to me epitomizes the rise of China.
对于此次预备会议为何选址粤港澳大湾区的深圳，常启德指出，深圳从一个小渔村蜕变为大数据、技术与创新中心。他认为，深圳可以成为全世界城市的典范。
You know, from 1979, when the per capita GDP of this country was a mere $180, but very swift growth over the last, 4 decades. And on top of that, it was major investments in human capital, it was investments in business, it was investments in infrastructure. But this part of China developed a dynamic on its own. Who would ever imagine that Shenzhen, today one of the most advanced smart cities in the world, was a mere fishing village about 40-50 years ago? And look at the way this city has transformed itself. In fact, it's a model for many other developing countries who want to emulate standards that Shenzhen has achieved. We have to be looking at what is it that we could do quickly, urgently, in order to make sure that we preserve the gains that this part of the world has made. Again, who would ever imagine that a place like Shenzhen could be in the top 10 in terms of GDP compared to the rest of compared to other top 10 cities in terms of GDP. It's got the third largest GDP in China. So it's fascinating what's happening in the Greater Bay Area.
2023年，粤港澳大湾区的 GDP 总量已经突破了14万亿，以不到全国0.6%的国土面积，创造了全国1/9的经济总量。作为大湾区4座核心城市中面积最小的行政区域，澳门的发展模式也吸引了常启德的关注。
Macau is a very fascinating place. I've been there a few times, and I've had the privilege of meeting the chief executive of Macau, Mr. Ho, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs representative from China, Ambassador Liu. Macau is very fascinating. It is becoming, we have a UN University Institute in Macau. It has and where we are doing a lot of research in the space of AI. In fact, as a part of the pre-summit of the future that we organized, we had a pre-summit of the future on artificial intelligence in Macau, where we were able to get, governments, private sector, foundations, universities to come and do some renewed thinking on what that would be.
截止到2023年底，澳门特别行政区的人口数量为68.4万，是全世界人口密度最高的地区之一。 该地区是我国人均 GDP 最高的城市，以发展第二三产业为主，将博彩旅游业、制造业、金融业以及建筑房地产业作为其4大支柱产业。2023年，澳门的 GDP 总量为3794.8亿澳门元，约合人民币3337.8亿元。2024年开始，澳门特区政府正式公布《澳门特别行政区经济适度多元发展规划（2024至2028年）》，这是澳门首个全面系统的产业发展规划。
What's also interesting is that it has been now turning itself into a major artery for global trade, for global innovation, for moving towards from what we would call a tourist, particularly a gambling industry, from a gaming industry to a much bigger financial hub that is much more multifaceted. And that multifaceted character has come in thanks to the leadership of Chief Executive Ho. You know, Macau symbolizes that unique character of China, of exponential growth, exponential velocity of their economy. And it's, again, to me, it sits in very well in this bulwark of Guangdong, Macau, Shenzhen and Hong Kong. So in all ways, these 4 cities become what I say the watershed cities of change, of not just change in China, but the way the global economy will reshape itself.
而常启德认为，作为后起之秀的粤港澳大湾区，在环境生态安全与经济快速发展之间取得了动态平衡，特有的绿色经济发展模式值得全球学习。
I would say another thing that, you know, after President Xi made the very important announcement of achieving carbon peaking by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060, I feel the Greater Bay Area can become the very model of achieving carbon peaking before 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality before 2060. And why I say this is, it is important for them. They are lying on coastal areas. Global sea level rises is a problem. At these Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangdong and Macau, excluded from the climate change phenomena. The global sea level rise will affect them too. How do we accelerate the climate agenda? We need China's leadership over here as we go into COP29. As you know, the Secretary General is hosting the Summit of the Future. The Climate Week is coming up in New York. We need urgency and urgent action. Now, in order to achieve that, you would obviously need technological jumps. You need innovation jumps. I believe the Greater Bay Area can help to do and mobilize that kind of information. That model they can mobilize that kind of technology in order to help us achieve the climate agenda, which is crucial. So it is in the interests of the Greater Bay Area as well to make sure that they are in lockstep with the aspirations of China which is gravitating more and more towards the green economy, but can also be a model for many other parts of the world to gravitate towards a green economy.
粤港澳大湾区在转型升级中优化环境，野生动物最有话语权。中华白海豚作为国家1级保护野生动物，是水质检测的活指标，素有水上大熊猫之称。不仅是唯一以中华命名的海洋豚类，更是粤港澳大湾区生态文明建设的一张名片。由中央广播电视总台、广东省委宣传部、珠海市委宣传部联合出品，中央广播电视总台社教节目中心、广东广播电视台、珠海传媒集团历时3年共同摄制的4K 大型生态纪录片《中华白海豚》，已于今年5月下旬在中央广播电视总台科教频道首播。为了保护中华白海豚，国家及相关科研人员做了很多工作。但中华白海豚的保护工作是一项专业性、系统性、公益性事业，需要全社会各方力量共同参与。粤港澳大湾区也正在建立跨境的合作保护机制。由广东广播电视台出品的生物多样性主题儿童绘本《白海豚奇遇记》，正是粤港澳大湾区合作保护机制中的一张亮眼的成绩单。绘本首次使用通草画的形式呈现，不仅激发青少年保护珍稀物种的意识，同时也是对非物质文化遗产的一种发扬和传承。常启德对广东台宣传生物多样性的行为表示肯定，点赞《白海豚奇遇记》的创作和出版。常启德还对粤港澳大湾区的经济发展、生态建设、文化交流等方面竖起了大拇指，表示粤港澳大湾区未来可期。